Another week, another brewery tour. Meanwhile Brewing Company, just over there in East Austin on the other side of I-35. Pretty brand new brewery. We've been featuring breweries that we have here. We went to Austin Beer Works. We're going to Meanwhile. We're going to check out some other ones in town too. This one's unique too because our friends Distant Relatives also have a food truck over there. So we're going to get the full tour. We're going to go through the brewing process. We're going to taste some grain. Then we're going to eat some barbecue with Distant Relatives, and just want to take you guys and show you around some of our beverage purveyors, including Meanwhile Brewing. Cheers.
Thank you guys for being here, first and foremost. That really means a lot to us. We sure love coming over and eating y'all's food, and the space is wonderful. It helps. I live down the street, so that's even better, so we're there often. Yeah, we opened our doors in October of 2020, so we were right around the corner from a 4-year anniversary. We were set to open in April of 2020. We bought this land in 2018. We're on just under 4 acres. When we bought this property, it was just all cedar thicket, so from the street out to here, you couldn't walk back here, and we cleared that out and tried to preserve as many of the trees as we could, and really try to create the hill country experience here in town without the drive. And so that was part of our goal. It also goes along with the brand. This breezeway was built here intentional and is thoughtful with the brand itself. When we walk through here, we want it, this is transforming. You leave all the day-to-day, all the challenges of life out there, and you get to walk through here and be transported into a different experience and a moment to catch your breath. And that's really where the name Meanwhile comes from, because Meanwhile is just supposed to serve as a gentle reminder that the world's full of chaos and pain and unknown, but meanwhile there's always something worth celebrating, and we just need to slow down, catch our breaths, and look at the wonder happening right below our nose. So that's the name of the brewery, and the brand and the company as a whole are supposed to reflect that. And so that's kind of here, leave it out there, walk through this kind of portal, and you're here in this great space. I still, and I don't think we'll ever lose that, as I come around the corner every day and look at the space, it's just like, whoa, what did we do? People often ask, yeah, what the heck, how'd we get here? Jay Quist is our founder and brewmaster, and myself and our founding director of brewing operations, now Odera, all moved down here from Portland about 6 years ago to start Meanwhile. The 3 of us all worked at a brewery called Breakside, which is up in Portland. Breakside is the largest brewery in the city of Portland. They do around 30,000 barrels of beer a year. Sizing wise, to understand that, Pint House is our largest brewery here in Austin. They did about 22,000 barrels last year. So Breakside's about 30% bigger than Pint House. We started over there when it was just a little neighborhood tap room bar, and then grew into this large regional player. Now and Will both deserve a ton of the credit. They were the R&D brewers for Breakside in their years there. I managed the pub at Breakside, and we all loved our time there, but knew that we wanted to do something ourselves at some point. And so Will is doing it, and gave us the opportunity to be a part of it. And the Jaquist family, Meanwhile, is all family owned. The Jaquist family is their background is hospitality, is this, and so this is another branch of the family businesses. People ask why we're in Austin, of all places. Will's family is here. It's a family-owned business, and they are here. They were here yesterday, and always around and very involved. And so that's the primary reason. The other bit is we wanted to be in a space coming from Portland that had a developed beer community and beer scene, one that is very supportive of one another, but also friendly competition and makes the folks around them better. And we thought Austin was certainly that place for us. We opened our doors with just a few employees. We now have 64 employees, I believe, which is crazy to think. When we opened our doors, there was days there was just 3 of us maybe working behind the bar. Not a great idea, that's my bad, but we learned. Last year we sold about 2,000 barrels of beer. A barrel of beer is the equivalent of 2 full-size kegs. So we sold about 4,000 kegs worth of beer across our bar last year. The rest was in distribution. So we'll do just over 8,000 barrels of beer this year is what we're projected to finish at. The Brewers Association puts us at, actually since we opened, we're the fastest growing brewery in the state of Texas. So very exciting. A lot of folks that make that possible. Something that I'm very proud of is we've done it through self-distribution. So every place that we've ever sold beer to, you've had to deal directly with one of us. And that's a big deal for us. That's why while y'all sell our canned beer, You know, the majority of the beer we actually sell is draft beer. We're about 75% draft beer. And that was, for us, the biggest part was brand building, investing in restaurants and bars, knowing that relationship that's built and that trust that y'all have earned with the customer is a way more powerful tool than anything we could do on a store shelf. And so that's been huge for us to be able to build relationships and hopefully share what we're about and who we are and what we're excited about, and that translates to the customer much better through the bar or restaurant experience. So we have a capacity of about 12,000 barrels, so we think we're right around the corner from getting this space totally maxed out. Then what? That's a good question. We'll figure it out along the way. So sweet, let's head inside, gang. Everyone here has been on a brewery tour, yay, nay, sweet, sweet. Has everyone here eaten Pilsner malt before? No? Okay, I got some head shakes of no. So let's eat some malt, that's always fun. I think it is. I do it multiple times a day. Let me grab some.
Get some good munchin, malt munchin fix.
Grain bug. It's the wrong grain bug. That's the origination behind that idea. It's like beer grain.
See? Inspiration just pops up everywhere.
This is Pilsner malt. This is Wireman Pilsner malt. Before you eat it, I should say that normally people just start eating it. Let's look at it beforehand because we want to see what we can get out of that malt. But you guys can see in here, if we look at the grain, we want this, as we're gonna put it through our mill to get it ready to go into the beer, we want this cracked open so we can extract all those great sugars out of there. If we don't crack it open enough, we're not gonna have an efficient brew day. If we over extract, we can create flour. It's a big mess, big sticky mess. And there's a lot of benefits to us making sure that this is dialed in. We at Meanwhile, our base malt is a Canadian Pilsner malt. So all of our ales, and then some of our more contemporary lagers will use that, but all of our German lager beer is all 100% Wireman. So we bring in Wireman for our Pilsner and our Helles. All those, if you guys see the gold can around town of ours, that's our rotating lager, and that is gonna be, the vast majority of that's gonna be all Wireman. So that's specialty malt, we bring that in by the bag. But our base malt here at Meanwhile is Canadian Pilsner. Very exciting. In the last year, we make enough beer now we can fill that silo. That's great for a lot of reasons. One, saves our backs, and we can buy in bulk now. So that's wonderful. This space, we really built this as a 5-year space and to grow into it. Like that grain silo, that sat empty for 2-3 years because we just weren't big enough yet, but we were ready for it. That was one of the learning lessons we certainly learned as we grew with the brewery, is if you can grow into a space, it will be much better in the long term than rather than as you grow, figure it out. And so really that was really thought out and planned. All the tanks where they're at right now, all of those things, all this piping was here from day one. And so when we were set to expand, it was drop tanks in and go, which has been allowed us to grow in a controlled manner, but also very efficiently, and where we haven't hit any gaps of production to demand, which is awesome. So yeah, these last round of tanks are in, and we are humming along. As we walk around, I'll point out we maybe have plans for some new tanks too, because you figure it out along the way. But this is what we envisioned and designed this space to look like, about 5 years ago, and we're there just a little bit early, about a year earlier than we had planned, which is awesome. So we're taking this, we cracked this sucker open, right? We're gonna push it up through, you guys see these pipes with the red where the arm bends. It's gonna go take a hard right into our grist case. So the malt is gonna sit up there, and we're gonna load that up the night before. So let's talk about water. One of the things that we do at Meanwhile, we certainly aren't the only folks in town that do it, but I would say it's not the norm, is we use all RO water here. So everything that comes into the brewery goes through our reverse osmosis filter, and then that is what we're brewing with. What that allows us to do is consistency and quality. It allows us to really dial in water profiles based on the specific recipes we're using, not just what the city water is giving us. And so definitely paying attention to water charge, paying attention to water profiles based on styles of beers, and getting those really dialed in. I think that's something that we focus a ton of time and energy on, as the main ingredient of our beer is going to be the water in it. Let's walk around. So this is our brew house. We have a 15-barrel brew house. It's from JV JB Northwest, or what is now called ICC Northwest. JB Northwest originally started out as a dairy manufacturer, dairy equipment manufacturer. When the wine boom took off in the Pacific Northwest, they switched and started making wine vessels, and then beer took off a few years later, and they switched and they do now primarily all beer equipment. With anything, as you get a new system, it's always going to take time to dial in and us to learn the nuances of any of it. But us understanding the equipment that we're working on, I think gave us a good leg up in understanding just the way that some of maybe the challenges that these present and some of the efficiencies that these come with. I think that helped us a ton to really hit the ground running. Something that I was very thoroughly impressed with the guys and gals from day one is I think we've been making really high quality beer since we've opened our doors, and that is an extremely hard feat to do. It's something that they should be very, very proud of, and I think that shows, in our first year of opening, we won gold at the Great American Beer Festival for our Pilsner, and then later that year we won gold for our Helles at the World Beer Cup. And so within 6 months of opening, we won 2 major medals on the beer scene, and that really just goes to the credit of Now and the rest of the team of really hitting the ground running and providing world-class beer from the start.
Do you guys feel like you get a nudge from those kind of accolades, or the folks in the scene that respect it and know what it means?
Yeah.
Are into it, but it doesn't necessarily I wonder how much of an impact that has.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Sometimes I wonder at this point in the market, how helpful it is, or does it,
I would say that I don't think that it matters none, but I don't think it matters a ton. At Breakside, really, Breakside was a small neighborhood brew pub. They won gold in 2014 for American IPA, the largest category in the United States. They won gold, and that changed everything for them. Right. Without that medal, it doesn't mean that Breakside wouldn't have been a large regional brewery one day, but that skyrocketed.
And in a market like Portland, and maybe even to a lesser extent Austin, you've got that kind of culture where people are paying attention and give a shit.
Folks here in town, if I tell them, I saw some of y'all nod your head when I said Great American Beer Festival. A lot of folks in town, that means absolutely nothing. Right? And that's okay. So yeah, I think maybe, to us, what I think it does is it legitimizes the product to folks. Is hey, we built this big fancy space and we did all these things, but on a table, that beer, nobody knows where that beer came from. And so that to me, I think is just a big nod to the guys here. And then the craft beer consumer knows, okay, Meanwhile didn't just build this big fancy space. They're committed, to high quality product. And so I think that's really provided us. We haven't seen, in fact, actually the thing that we did immediately see an uptick in sales, and this is most Texas thing, right? We win those national, international medals. Secret Beach has won Best IPA at the Texas Beer Awards. It won it 2 years in a row. That gave us a bigger increase in sales than a World Beer Cup medal did.
For us, it's the Texas Monthly Barbecue list is
totally.
That's there's nothing bigger in the barbecue world than that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I think that's been kind of fun to watch of it. Secret Beach literally medaled the same year at GABF, didn't do anything to our sales. And then we won at Texas Beer Awards, and then we watched in the month after that beer sell way better. That's awesome. It's a uniquely Texas thing, I think, is Texans if you win in Texas, that's bigger than winning for the world, So
we're proud people.
Yeah, exactly. We're at the mash tun. We're gonna drop our malt that you guys just saw in there. We're gonna drop that into the mash tun. We're gonna be mixing hot water in with there because we're gonna make a barley tea is the easy way to call that, or what we call wort. All that grain is going to sit on this false bottom. All that grain is going to sit on that bed. We're going to cycle through that barley tea is the easy way, or that wort through there, extract all those great sugars because we need sugar to make beer, alcohol. Yeah. From there, we're going to move it over to our kettle where we're going to boil beer. While that's boiling for an hour or so, that might be our first edition of hops. Oh, hey, Merritt, what do you have in your hand? Wow, look at that. What is very cool is we just pulled this straight out of the tank. Hops are only harvested once a year. We are in the middle of the North American hop season right now. A lot easier to do when you live 45 minutes from the hop farms like we did in Oregon than it is down here. But what we did, and this is the first time we've ever done a fresh hop beer, is we got these hops from a hop farmer up in Colorado. They pulled the hops off the vine. If you don't process hops right away, they deteriorate. They have terrible shelf life. So typically those are processed, packed, and sealed for the year. But what you can do once a year, if you can get them off the vine and get them into into beer, you can make these fresh hop beers, and that's what we did here. It's a really vibrant hop character that has, we use Chinook in this that I think you guys will really enjoy. Let me know what you think. This beer is about a week away from being done. So they pulled those off the vine on the farm, threw them in a U-Haul, and drove down here, and our brewers were standing on this brew deck waiting for the hops to arrive so they could start brewing. But I think really, really cool opportunity to try fresh hop beer down here in Texas. Do you guys get a chance to try the beer? Pretty delicious, right? Very cool. So that beer will come out next week. If anyone has a name, we're looking for one. Last year we made 85, I think, unique beers. I'm tired of naming stuff. So if you guys ever come up with names, I'll give you my phone number, my home address, whatever you need. I need more beer names. It's no longer fun. It was really, really fun until we realized, oh my gosh, what are we doing? 85 unique beers last year, and I don't think we're gonna do less this year. So that means you get almost a new beer from Meanwhile, or about 2 new beers a week from Meanwhile. So yeah, 15 barrel brew house, gang. As we walk around and look at the cellar, we have 15 barrel fermenters, 30 barrel fermenters, 60 barrel fermenters, or the most cute and most fun, these little 2 barrel fermenters. Evan, recently, we did that little beer together, right? Hey, and it was in just one of those little guys. So that's why that beer was here today, gone tomorrow. Like literally was gone that weekend. You tried it, I liked it. It was awesome. It was really cool. A non-sour pickle beer. It was super refreshing and cool. And so we took custom lager, which is our American lager, and then blended in. And that's what we primarily do with these. Is the vast majority of beers that we're doing in these little guys, those are culinary inspired beers and things that we're blending in post fermentation. Sweet, let's walk around. It's getting hot. You guys can feel it's pretty warm in here, right? How we brewed the beer does change throughout the year because of that. And what temperatures do, we have to tweak things. Just in the winter months, it's easier to bring things down to temp and a lot quicker. In the summer months, it's a little bit more work. And so that does, there are things that are seasonally affect the way that we brew the beer here. Right behind me, this is our barrel room. It is a conditioned room. Hard to stay conditioned with the door wide open like that. But we'll poke our heads in there and see. That's something to look forward to from Meanwhile in the years to come. And also last year we released our first barrel aged beer. It was a really awesome Mexican hot chocolate stout that was aged in bourbon barrels. And it's first time we've done one of those. And it won gold at the Texas Beer Awards in the barrel age category. So I'm really excited to watch that program continue to develop. In fact, actually, let's look over there while we're standing here. But a really cool thing in here, I'll point out the barrels on your left. These are all Oregon Pinot Noir barrels. I mentioned we moved down here from Oregon. We wanted to bring just a little touch of the Northwest with us. And so it was a little bit of that intention and a little bit was of the moment. I mentioned to y'all we opened a little bit later than we had planned. So everything was here ready to go and we were thinking we need to start making beer. We don't know if the world's gonna be open to sell beer. So we called our friends up at Stoller Vineyards up in the Willamette Valley, and they sent us down. We started with 50 Oregon Pinot Noir casks. We are also maybe we're homers, but we really, really love Willamette Valley Pinot Noir. And so that is actually all wild and sour beer in there. These beers are gonna be a lot more funky than acidic and really tart. We do, occasionally when we do projects like this, we'll blend in some acidity, but really this is primarily more funky than sour. The vast majority of this stuff is blended. So we have 4 different wort streams, 4 different base beers that are all put into these, and then we blend them accordingly. We have a wheat heavy beer, a rye heavy beer, an all Pilsner malt beer, and then like a Vienna lager, so a Vienna and Pilsner beer. And those are the base beers, and then we have a bunch of different critters. I don't know off the top of my head the different yeast strains that we throw in there, but it's a lot. And the vast majority of the beers that are in these barrels, as you can see, there's certainly not 50 there anymore. Some of those have been made in the beers and sold, and a lot of those went down the drain. I mentioned to y'all we have different size tanks. These 15 barrel tanks, 95% of the time that beer never leaves this tap room. This is our ability to innovate, to push out new products, to try new things. Then we have 30s, those are great for seasonals, things that maybe aren't quite ready to jump up to the 60s. Yeah, maybe if we swap out tanks, those will be the first to go, is get rid of those 60s, or those 30s, swap in bigger tanks. And then the 60s, which is those core beers. So, like y'all sell Tender Robot and Secret Beach, those are beers that are coming out of these big tanks. Occasionally you'll catch a small batch of those beers in some of these 15s for whatever reason. Like right behind you, we got a Fest beer going in the 15. This was just brewed a couple days ago. As you can see, there's active fermentation going on. From that fermenter, we're gonna either go to the bright tank. From the bright tank, we're gonna either put it in kegs or cans. One other thing, and rather than going to the bright tank, we'll transfer from the fermenter right into our serving tanks, which also act as a bright tank. And we have 6 serving tanks.
What are you guys doing between fermenter and bright tank?
We did actually just get a filter, and so we are filtering all of our lagers.
So we got serving tanks. Where do you guys can when you can?
See where the scissor lift is? See right in front of that?
Oh, wow.
That's our little canning line.
I mean, for the amount of work that will go into cranking out the amount of beer that you put out in cans, I'm assuming. We order
Yeah, you guys go through a ton of, you guys go through a ton of beer.
A consistent amount.
Heck
but,
yeah, that's always like, I'm like, every week? Everyone else slowed, you guys just keep on chugging. We can do, in an 8-hour day, it's not a ton, we do about 300 cases of beer. Yeah.
Hey, thank y'all so much for the food. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's great. So
Wait, they need the video of that, and also they need to get that on mic. Hey, Bradley, don't talk with your mouth full, please. It's rude.
All right, we got the full tour. We saw everything there was to see in the brew house. Now, one of our favorite barbecue places is also here, Distant Relatives from Damian Brockway. Incredible, incredible food and a unique take on the cuisine. He's got a food truck here. Let's go check it out.
So I'm Damien. I'm the owner and pitmaster of Distant Relatives here in Austin, Texas. So modern African-American barbecue, African-American right here. We're going to talk about with this flavor profile. So the things on our menu speak to shared origins, right? And the diaspora from the continent of Africa and through the United States and other regions, even through the Caribbean or so on and so forth.
The originators of barbecue.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Distant Relatives also speaks to that concept right there of that, shared origin, shared roots in history, being distant relatives, right? So we started out as a pop-up and doing catering and in small dinner series 4 years ago. About a month ago was our 4-year anniversary of starting the company. Trailer's been open for about 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Dude, okay, tell me about this bologna. What's going on here?
Come on, Graham.
Yeah, so this is all brisket trim, and we got the pimento cheese. It's got some hot sauce in there. Some of our house rub in here, which is warming spice heavy, nutmeg heavy. Then we got a little garlic and white pepper in there.
It's delicious.
But yeah, thanks.
And then the pimento cheese, which you remember from back in the day. So pit hot sauce. Yeah, the pit hot sauce, chopped pimentos off on the side. And then we got the tallow fried sourdough from New World Bakery down in Kyle. Briskets, as Graham was saying, I know you're a master at this already. Full utilization of the stuff, right? So we grind that pure fat. And then it gets rendered down in the pit, so it gets smoke on it, but it also renders, comes clear. And then that's what we fry our bread in. And anything else that we're doing on, the chicken is also, tossed around in that and some butter. And then the lean trim then goes into stuff like, bologna or sweet beef hot link. Our beef rub is a little bit different. So flavors of piri, so African bird chili, as well as grains of paradise, which comes from that pepper coast, so Beningana area. Allspice, because that's a very important spice to the diaspora. Nutmeg, so on and so forth. You know all about this. Smoked mustard butter here. So this is the accoutrement for this. So we try and pair all of our proteins with its own sauce or accoutrement, but we do have a AP, an all-purpose barbecue sauce that we really like this with pork, but it's great with everything. So we just use it as all-purpose. That's a tamarind and molasses. So this one is butter, tons of aromatics, and mustard seeds that then gets cooked in the pit for 4 hours. And then blended. So we really like that. I mean, who doesn't like beef with a little full grainy mustard? Yeah, the butter gets brown and crispy on the top before we blend it. Over on this side, we have some of our, signature things on here. So black-eyed peas with brisket burnt ends. As you know, you're slicing through the brisket. Some pieces might be a little too fatty for slice or going in a sandwich, and then you might have pieces on the lean side that, you know, they're great, but like, you know, could be repurposed for something else. So instead of cooking our black-eyed peas with like ham hocks and stuff like that, we actually use like a barbecue broth that has the smoked trim and bones in it, and then also like the brisket ends cooked down in that with like things like tomato and ginger, so on and so forth. A little green onion on top just to kind of brighten it up because it is pretty dense. So then over here, smoke roasted peanuts. This is like a staple from the beginning. So shelled peanuts that have been smoked and roasted. We do that right on like the hearth in the pit, so right where the, you know, the smoke's coming out of the firebox. So, you know, it gets real hot up there. We get a nice toasty, smoky character. Then it gets tossed with our poultry blend as well as like house spice. Pulled pork over here. So we're using bone-in shoulders. We put 12-hour cure on this. So it's a sugarcane cure. Instead of using like brown sugar or granulated, we use spray-dried sugarcane juice. Yep. Nice. That, salt, and then pork spice, and then with like really deep scoring, like half inch to like 3/4, kind of like porcupines out. You know, it gets that surface area. That way you get a good bark to interior meat ratio on that, which we like. And then gets tossed in a little bit of house infused vinegar, just a little finished salt, because, you know, even though we do put a cure on it, the interior still needs just a little bit more. Tomato salad over here. So tomatoes that have been marinated with lime zest, lime juice, serrano, red onion, lots of herbs and spices, a little bit of like savory juice in there. Just really light, bright. That was like like we were saying, like a transition thing. So summertime, it can get really, if you have all 4 hot sides, it can, you know, outside down, it gets a little.
I wish they all could be hot sides and they should all have meat in them.
Yeah, pretty much we ran the summer with only one hot side with just the peas, and then just changed everything else around it. So then over here, this is just like our marinated cabbage. So it's pit hot sauce. We don't ferment our hot sauce. We smoke it low and slow. Put like 2-3 hours on it in a hotel pan. Some like fresh Fresnos and, you know, some bird chili, and then just, you know, let it run. And then just blitz it, salt it. So we have that, and then what we call like newspaper rub, black pepper, chili. Over here is like onion jam. So these are basically like candied onions, basically with sweet spice, sweet mustard spice. So like fennel, you know, yellow mustard, things like that. So that's what we got going on right now.
What an incredible tray. There's so many, like everything is so detailed. Everything has like specific touches. Everything is thought through. Like, oh my God, it looks incredible. And what do you got coming next?
So we just had a new shop come online. It's called Lynx. It's located at the Meanwhile Cat Bar, which is over on West 5th. Really proud of the sausage program. You know, similar kind of thing going on in terms of like thought process. So each thing is composed and then, you know, has its own you know, unique touch or flair to it, and then has specific through lines that follow similar things as the trailer here.
That's great, dude. I can't wait to go eat there. Hey, well, dude, thank you again for just, you know, for your time, for the incredible food, for the friendship.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
of course.
Thanks again to Meanwhile Brewing, Connor, Merritt, the whole crew over there. Also thanks to Damien and Graham and the entire team over there at Distant Relatives. Incredible food, incredible beer at Meanwhile. We're going to keep serving as much as we possibly can of it here. We're going to have the cans out in the retail every now and then. We have kegs on the draft system as well. Come get some Meanwhile Brewing here. I love Roy and Lewis.